I want you to imagine being in a room where you feel like you don't belong simply because you look different. That's how I felt for many years growing up with a disability as someone in a wheelchair. Typically, everywhere I went, I was one of the only people in wheelchair, such as school, the mall, restaurants, and people would stare at me and I would think, what's wrong with me? Like, is there something wrong with me? I felt like I needed to walk in order to feel normal and be accepted by society. That was until I found wheelchair tennis. Wheelchair tennis provided me that community, the confidence, and the independence that I was striving for. Growing up with a disability, my parents knew it was difficult for me, but they didn't want me to just sit at home and do nothing. They wanted me to go out into the world, meet other people, and enjoy myself. So they put me in different activities such as kung fu, wheelchair racing, adaptive sports camps, and then, of course, wheelchair tennis. Wheelchair tennis was the one I really felt passionate about and I really enjoyed. And I was about 8 years old when I started playing. I was not good at all. I was super shy. It was like pulling teeth to get people to get words out of me because I didn't want to say anything. I would just go and hit the ball and that's it. But I just enjoyed the sport and I just tried to get better. But the big part of why I played was because of the community that I found through tennis. It was the first time I was around people that looked like me in different wheelchairs of all types, in walkers, prosthetics, and they had their own styles. Some people in like a hot pink chair, blue chair. Someone have stickers saying Hot Wheels. People having spinner wheels. It was really cool to see, seeing how powerful like they had developed their own personalities and styles, being around that, and just everyone is super friendly. They would just talk to you and want to get to know you, and just being around that, you can see what they're doing. They're getting in and out of their cars. They're driving. They're talking about going out on vacation or having fun. And when I was young like that, I didn't think that was really possible for someone in a wheelchair. I thought someone would have to help me all the time and to be able to do things. And but by but this is where I finally felt a sense of belonging, where it provided me the foundation to understand like there's more to me than just being someone in a wheelchair. I felt like I'm just not someone in a wheelchair. I'm an athlete, a competitor, and someone capable of doing so much more. So having that belonging led to confidence, and I developed a lot of confidence on the tennis court as well as off the tennis court. I remember my first match or my first tournament win in 1998. It was in a city called Upland in Southern California, and it was normally really hot there. It was like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 38 degrees Celsius. And I played this guy in the C division. It's an entry level division, so like a beginner's division. And the guy's name was Horace, and he was around 80 years old. Yeah, around 80. And I was 13. But he was known as like the gatekeeper of that C division, where if you're able to beat him, you should move up to the next division. So up until that tournament, he was always beating me. But finally something overcame within myself and I was able to beat him, and I eventually won the tournament, which is a huge deal for me at the time. It showed me like how much was possible with and the potential of how I can be as a tennis athlete. And I started to find coaches to help me get better, and I had a lot of support that from them to teach me and develop my game, and also the support of my friends and family and my peers. And then I worked my way up to started traveling around the country, and I moved into the professional division in 2015. And recently I felt like a little more of a resurgence in my game, even here at 40. But and I broke the top 10 in the men's in the U.S., and then I reached as high as 90 in the world. So it's something I'm definitely happy about. But off the court, besides having the confidence on the court, that trickled the rest of my life off the court. So now, like, I started being more confident who I was. When people would stare at me or ask me questions, it didn't bother me as much because I knew what I was capable of doing, and I was more comfortable in my identity. That confidence also led me to get an education. I was able to go to UCLA, get an undergraduate degree, and then a master's in sports management at Cal State Long Beach, was a state school. And even at college, it helped me develop some sort of advocacy for myself. So I lived in the dorms, and there's the tennis courts right near the dorms where I would play and practice. And I noticed there's two ways to get in. Close by, where you could just go up the stairs, or you have to go up a ramp, up like the sidewalk and around, which is a lot harder. So I was thinking, why can't they just build a ramp where the stairs are? So with the support of my family, we wrote like a letter to the compliance officer, whoever was in charge, and they helped build the ramp. And it was definitely cool that they did it. And I think it not only helped me, it's probably helping a lot of other people that can't use the stairs as easily. But it was one of the examples of me speaking up, not just for myself, but for others as well. And then also, like, all this, being able to do all these things, I've been able to end up running a business, leading other people on and off the court. I've done some coaching, and just do the things that I love doing. Well, having confidence, getting the confidence to become who I was as a person was a big deal for me. The other thing I really strive for was my independence. Growing up, like, a lot of people may take for granted about like getting dressed or using the bathroom or taking a shower. Those are things that I needed help with, so my parents had to help me out a lot with that. The other frustration was I used to wear a back brace for my scoliosis, which is a curvature of the spine, and someone had to help me take it on and off, so it limited me from really doing everything on my own. Finally, when I was 13, they did do a surgery to put a rod in my back, so I wouldn't have to wear the brace anymore. Despite complications throughout the years, it still paved the way for me to start developing that independence. And going back to that community, like, that's what really helped me become that independent person. Because when I was at these events, we would have conversations talking about the challenges we deal with when we're with a disability, like what tricks we do or how we transfer in and out of our chair. I was seeing how people transfer in their cars, take apart their chair, all those different things that, again, I didn't think was really possible. And they even showed me like cool tricks, such as like doing a wheelie or jumping off a curb, or if there's no ramp. And I remember I had this mentor / personal trainer, Jeremy, and we were out one time in LA, and there was just a curb. There was no ramp anywhere in sight, and he's just like insisting, just jump off of it. He jumped off of it easily. He also had bike tires, which make it easier because they're bigger, but he kept insisting to jump off of it, and I was really scared. He could see the fear on my face, and I was looking all over. Is there any other way I can get down? But there wasn't, so I had to just do it. And fortunately, nothing happened. I was able to do it, but it may be a small thing, but it was a big moment for me because things like that show me how if I'm able to challenge myself by pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And the thing that I really take to this day with me is the support. It's important to have this support from others to like show you what's possible and push you because they know what you're capable of doing that you may not be seeing for yourself. And also, but when I really found that independence was when I went to college at UCLA. That was when I lived for the first time on my own in the dorms, being able to do all those basic things that I talked about. But at the same time, I had to navigate a huge campus, get an education, being in classes with like 300 people, trying to make friends and get involved in different activities. So it was a lot on my plate, but it worked out very well. And at the time I started driving too, which is another thing like I'm so happy I can do. And it's another sense of freedom that I have when I can drive. And then also like on the court or through my tennis, like I had to learn to be independent because by traveling, when you're trying to get better, you got to travel to other states or countries, and I had to learn how to travel, and that was new territory for me. So 2006 was the first time I traveled to out of state for a tournament from LA to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I went with my late coach Anthony Lara, who was a great coach and taught me so much on the court, but as well as off the court. And he was teaching me like how you navigate with your, because I would have this chair, I would have my tennis chair, my duffel bag, my tennis bag, so I have to like stack everything and push it on my own. So it wasn't something that I knew how to do, and also like just having to figure out like how to deal with transferring the aisle chair to get on board and all those little nuances that you don't know and where you really have to watch out for yourself. You also have to worry about if they're going to damage your chair or not, or all those different things. But the one thing he really taught me was like, you need to, the best thing is to try to figure out how you can do it where you can manage on your own without having to rely on others. Yes, it's okay to ask for help, which I still do, but if I can do it by myself, I try my best to. And so that's something that stuck with me to this day. And when I look back, I don't take my independence for granted. I know a lot of people are not able to have that still. So I feel very fortunate that I'm able to travel, drive, and do the things that I love doing. So when I look back at my journey, I did struggle for many years growing up with a disability. It really took time for me to accept my identity as someone in a wheelchair. But through tennis, I was able to discover that community, which helped me build my confidence and have that independence to live life on my own terms. And that's why community is so important. Recent studies, as Sister Rabia was talking about, like there's more isolation and low social support for those with disabilities. And that's where organizations like DEEN Support Services comes in, who really provide that foundation for people, all types of disabilities from all different backgrounds, where they're able to get together and do activities together, learn life skills, play sports together. And these are the type of things that I was fortunate to have, where having that community and activities around that to really help me become who I am today. They also, having like the peer network, that's where you can just kind of like I did, just share stories with each other, the challenges you face, and how you can help other people navigate that. Because a lot of times, if what you're dealing with, someone else may be dealing with the same thing. So it's really helpful to have that support around you. It can really help you. The other cool part is the faith aspect and spiritual aspect of DEEN, where they really support those with disabilities who want to be able to practice Islam and talk about it. And there's a lot of good examples in the Quran about people with disabilities. A good example, the Prophet Muhammad asked, and peace be upon him, had asked Abdullah ibn Maktoum, a blind man, he was trusted him to lead prayer in Medina in his absence. So I think that's pretty cool. And there's a lot of other stories about that. But still, I feel like the disability community is still being overlooked, and especially in the Muslim community, where there just needs to be more inclusion and support in different spaces, such as mosques, community centers. They also have them be included in leadership positions. They have just as much, many ideas to help the community, just like anyone else. So I think those are really important. And, DEEN is doing a great job of really advocating for people like me to be able to have access to mosques and other places, and bring awareness about disability. And, it's because there's a lot of people with all types of disabilities, and it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. You have to be mindful, and it's also important to educate the friends and family, and they can understand how to help their kids with disabilities or their relatives as well. So, when you're supporting DEEN, you're not just funding programs. You're really empowering people. You're really helping someone help develop their identity and build their confidence and find the independence that they're hoping to achieve. And my being here is proof of what having a strong community can do for you. I feel like if together we can create more stories of belonging and resilience and just people doing amazing things in the community. So imagine, seeing someone like me, like struggling with their identity, finding their identity, and then eventually figuring out who they are, and being able to share their stories with other people to be able to support them and also encourage them to do more in this world. That's the ripple effect you're able to create by supporting DEEN. Thank you.